Hi everybody, welcome to my channel for the second battle report of the tournament in Lausanne. I'm facing this time a player I know very well. Mibola is playing Warrior of the Dark God, so it's going to be an interesting matchup because he's playing a lot of monsters. As you can see, he's playing the triple Feldrak team, Ancestor, Double Elder with Pet Weapon. Then he has another fighty character, it's a Chosen Lord on the Dark Chariot with a 1-up, 4-up. And then he has, I think, 6 attack strength 6 with Immortal Gauntlet, so very scary character. He has a Wizard Master Occultist, so only 4 spell, but yeah, as you can know, between Hereditary and Occultism like Gravecall with Whalewalker, that costs a lot of dice to cast. For example, Gravecall, it's easily 4 dice, so it doesn't cast a lot of spell, but it can force them through to do a lot of damage. He has only 3 scoring units, so 1 unit of Warrior of Lust with a Relentless Company banner and 2 units of Barbarian Horseman, so minimal scoring unit for secondary objective. 2 piece of chaff, 5 flayers, 8 warhounds, a chimera that can act as chaff or also anti-chaff, and then a marauding giant. So yeah, 4 monsters plus a chimera that can add some fighting power, a chosen lord as well, and also the Warrior of Lust are also decent in combat, so quite an aggressive list. I picked the following spell, so my intention wasn't at the beginning to pick number 5, which is Totemic Summon, but since we play Capture the Flag, and if you check his list, he has 2 quite fragile flag, which are the Barbarian Horsemen. I thought that might be very interesting, because that's like an automatic spell to dispel for him, because if he doesn't, it can easily do some damage with the breast weapon, and then in close combat it can be very annoying for the horseman. So I thought that's a key spell for me. And then Swarm of Insects, always interesting against monsters. Number 1, which is +1 strength or toughness, and then Break the Spirit, also some nice addition from distance and also in close combat. And my opponent picked a maximum number of blasts, so he took Gravecall, Mark for Doom, Hereditary, which were all good against me, and also Pentagram of Pain, so a lot of damage that he can do with this spell selection. Matchup analysis. I have the tools to deal with Monster Mash. That was also part of the reason of the design of my list before ETC. I talked about it in the ETC video introduction. I was ready to face a lot of monsters, so I was curious to see how can I handle his push, because I expect him to be very aggressive with all these monsters and my poison and cannon shooting. Secondary objective being flags. No board control is needed, but his scoring will not be easy to catch. They move really well. He has some chaff. I expect the warrior to be the mage bunker, and then the other 2 to be slightly more in the back, like hidden. I expect, I think it's I put an estimation as an unstable 10, meaning it's very open as a game, because it depends a lot who starts, what's the quality of his rush, respectively how well does my range damage works, basically. Starting would be good, because it's 1 more turn of shooting before he goes in combat. And obviously something that I usually do when you play a type of list like mine, which could struggle against MSU army that move really fast, and here this is the case between the Elder that have March 16, also Ancestor 16. He moves really well in the flanks, so that would be, I think, a mistake for me if I would allow him to push on 2 flanks. By using a board edge, I can limit this and basically have only 1 flank to protect, which is much easier. And as you know, I usually use my mercenaries to close the flank. I think they are really good in this setup. So deployment, my opponent won the roll for side. He decided to pick the castle, so the big center and small flank. So he gave me the big flanks and the small center, and then I drop everything for first turn. So I put my Kineton in ambush, thinking for the Barbarian Horseman it can be very useful. And then basically, if you check the map, I have 2 main options. The left one, but between the ruin and impassable, I felt I would be too stuck in a corner, like boxed in a corner, and then it's kind of hard to march out of the zone without suffering too much from the DTs, and also I think the impassable can be to my disadvantage, limiting my freedom of my ability to move also with my monsters. So instead what I decided to do is to deploy heavily on the right by putting my bruiser unit with my general in it, and then on the left I have my mercenaries on top of the zone where I could deploy stuff as forward as I could. Was my unit of mercenaries with the mage on the left and the BSB on the right, and then hidden in the back my darts, piece of chaff, cannon, and then I put the frosty like center right and the giants center left, and then on the far left my yetis that started here and vanguarded here to the left. So the idea basically was I expect a rush, but if I can be annoying between the giant and the yetis, maybe it will be harder for him to push, because basically my part of my plan is I need to slow him down and to make sure that he comes at me in waves, not everything. If he rushes at me with 4 monsters plus a chariot guy all together, I have no chance of stopping that. So I need to make sure I can slow him down, I can divert him, I can target his backline, all that kind of stuff, which makes life difficult for somebody who wants to rush you. So that was a bit the idea of the giant here, that can play with the hill, can move back. I have plenty of options with him to be annoying, because I expect him to be somewhere here and pushing towards me. So I thought it can be very annoying starting here and then having the freedom to move left or right. The yetis, by being here, can, if he decides to drop heavily on the right, then I can always try to go in his back. And if he doesn't do that, I can be annoying here on the left and make sure he has to take me into consideration, because if he doesn't, I can target his flag. Regarding Mibola's deployment, basically, first of all, he made sure that my mercenaries veterans were not in range to shoot anything turn 1, so that's something classic when we are not able to start the game. Try to minimize a little bit the range damage output that your opponent might do. That's what he did here, so he made sure outside of 30 with everybody. I was aware that he could do that, but I like the fact that I have some free room here to breathe, and I can jump out after with my Death Star and have some room, because this is key when you deploy in a corner, to be able to go out of the corner, because if you stay in your corner, you are into trouble. Other than that, he put dogs here, the flayers here, so chaff ready to go after my unit, because he know if he really wants to push me, chaff are key, because chaff allows you to push, because if you can redirect my possible charges, since I still can charge pretty far away with both of my unit, then without chaff it's hard for him to really push me without taking too much risk. The chariot guy, an elder, second elder, warrior unit with the mage, giant, 2 horsemen and the chimera. So here, just because of the position of the yetis, he made sure that with my 26 here, I had no sweet spot to land, basically, to threaten his backline. So I like the fact that only 2 yetis can occupy 2 monsters and 2 horsemen units. That was nice. So monsters are here to protect him, and also because of the ambush, he needs to be careful what comes after. So that was for deployment. My turn 1. So on the left I didn't move much with the yetis, because I was already in a nice spot. I like the standoff between all this stuff. Just move slightly forward to make sure that if he moves with the chimera, I want to have room to move. Other than that, my giant move here behind the hill to be annoying and try to find spots to land. My frost mammoth moves 6 forward to be a threat. I just want to be sure that he cannot move aggressively with an elder, because he has to take into account the charge of both of my monsters, which would be too much for an elder. So I just want to be sure that if he wants to move very aggressively, he has to give me chaff. That's basically the idea. These guys just move slightly forward, but I made sure I can move back 3 and be out of the water train, because I don't want... My steadfast is very important in this game, basically. My Death Star was able to march forward as much as I could, and also scoring unit following it. My cannon didn't have to move, just made a pivot. I had some very nice line of sight at 4+ to hit the Ancestor, which is nice on turn 1, and my chaff moved to the right. In the magic phase, I was only able to get a +1 toughness on the giant, I guess, and nothing else. He dispelled, I think I failed Swarm, and he dispelled Totemic Summon, or the opposite. But that was it, more or less. And shooting didn't do much. I find a good spot with my BSB, who was able to see his guys, so I was able to do 2 wounds to them, force panic check, but he was able to pass that, no problem at all. And the cannon didn't hit the Ancestor on 4+. his turn 1, so he moves 16 forward with Ancestor, moves the Chariot guy forward, moves the Elder forward, moves second Elder forward, and uses these guys as chaff for my 2 monsters with a long overrun on the Elder. On the left, he just moved the Giant slightly forward, this guy slightly to the side, but didn't do much more than that. In the magic phase, he was able with Hereditary boosted to do 4 wounds to my Frost Mammoth, which hurts. Still had the 4+ armor save, but even with that I wasn't able to save any of these wounds. So yeah, 4 wounds to my Frost Mammoth turn 1, which is a lot, and I dispelled Gravecoil. My turn 2. So no charges still. My King Eater enters the board here. I wasn't too happy about this part. I thought, this is great, I can just land here, but because there is exactly 1 inch and 1 inch, I cannot look enough to the right, I think. And also considering the fact that the Yetis are putting a pressure on this part of the board, I should have entered the King Eater somewhere here to put a pressure on other part of the board. My Giant passes Marchek on the 8 rerollable, and was able to move here in between and out of arc of everybody, which is awesome, because now, as you can see, I will force Marchek on almost the entire, at least the entire army that is willing to push me. So the push part, everybody is going to take break test with no reroll, and every failed test means slow down. So that's really awesome for me. I backed off the Frost Mammoth because I have only 2 wounds left. My mercenaries also backed off slightly because I knew with this position he can be in position to charge me. These guys also backed off a bit, same goes for them. I think they reform or backed off, and Cannon didn't move. In the magic phase, I was able to get Swarm of Insect on this Feldrock Elder and do 3 wounds, which is amazing. And then with my mercenaries I had the choice to make. So it was between shooting him, the cannon missed, so the cannon was hitting on 3+ against him, which is nice, but I didn't hit, fortunately. So the cannon missed, and then with them I had the choice. Either I choose to finish him, which is nice, but the problem is he's still far away from me, so he's not an immediate threat. I felt I still have a bit of time, and as I've told you at the beginning, taking care of the chaff for me is key, because if he has this chaff, he can just put it here in front of my 2 units, and everybody here, all the monster can push forward. Even with this guy dead, that could be dangerous for me. So I decided with my mercenaries, which is 16 poison shot and with AP2, to shoot down the flayers, but unfortunately I killed only 1, which was very, very disappointing for me. I didn't here, I think the guy marched, but yeah, with all these shots, wasn't able to finish them, was really disappointing. I thought that was the right decision. And yet he's on the left, yeah, it didn't move much. Yeah, that was it for my turn 2. My opponent's turn 2, he failed the march with 1 Elder, move only 8 forward, which is nice. Second Elder, move 16 here to the top to threaten another part of the board, uses the dogs to chaff me, uses the flayers to chaff me, no surprise here. And then the Chariot push and blocks my Giant at the same time, so that these guys can still move forward and threaten me with magic. And on the left, yeah, he took advantage of my bad positioning of the King Eater, my bad entrance, and just moved the Giant here, moved these guys forward, kept the Chimera here. But at the same time, I think even with entering here, he could have put the Giant in front of me and go around. He had still enough way, I think, to move out of the trap here. So I'm not sure my bad entrance has that much of an impact. And yeah, the Elder marched forward to be in position to charge me next turn. In his magic phase, he got, let me check, 2d6 strength 6 from Hereditary, did 1 wound to my Frost Mammoth, which was lucky for me, and then he tried, I think, a d6 strength 4 to finish him off, but did nothing. So this time it wasn't lucky. And yeah, no shooting, my turn 3. Sorry for the blurry picture. So what happened? The King Eater moved slightly out of arc of everybody to threaten the Horseman. Yetis continued standoff, I was happy with that. And the Giant failed the march check, move here to threaten the back of these guys. I could have looked at them, but I thought with the mobility, I prefer to put a threat on the Mage Bunker, because this is where the battle will be won or lost, I felt. Even with the secondary being here at the same time, I can somehow threaten the mage, force him to put a monster or something in front of me, and it's still a flag. So I felt that was the right move. I decided not to charge the chaff, because by charging the chaff I would be then in easy charge range from him. So I just moved back my guys, move Greases within the mercenaries block, so that the bruiser can be charged by the ancestor and or the elder, but then I have no character and no challenge problems. These two units just reform. This guy backed off again, and I reserved my chaff was really dedicated for later on to chaff the lord. That was a bit my idea. And then the cannon didn't move at all. I think I was okay like that. I had some short range shot at a couple of monsters, so that was nice. And here I had some nice poison shot to target him. That was my per target. Try to finish him off was a little bit my idea. Yeah, on the shooting magic phase, first of all, Swarm of Insect did 2 wounds to him, so he was not a threat that much anymore. And then my cannon, I decided to shoot at him because 8 wounds is way too much for me, so I decided to target him, and I did 2 wounds to him, which is nice. And mercenaries did no wounds. I decided to shoot at him to finish him. Yeah, I didn't want him anymore to be able to charge me, so I shot with everything, tried to kill the last wound, and I did no wounds. So again, very disappointing here. So his turn 3, he will be in a position to charge me. So I decide to charge with the ancestor. I pass my third check. He repositioned the elder with 1 wound remaining in front of me. He failed the march check again and moved only 8. This guy moved 8 front. He chaffs again all my unit more or less. He reforms these guys for later on. Move forward with the mage to try to target my cannon. And on the left part, as I took the picture, basically he completely forgot to move all the left part of the board, and realized that after the combat phase, so at the end of the turn. And yeah, I let him move that after, since he had no big influence on the rest, but he completely forgot all that corner. So that's why they didn't move during the picture, but basically, yeah, they move a bit, but not that much. Just to be out of arc, blocking me and stuff. In the magic phase, he got 2d6 from hereditary, did 1 wound to my cannon, because of, 4+ armor save helps. And here, basically my plan, I just gave him the champion, passed my 9 rollable check, and the next turn I'm willing to get some buffs off and try to, threaten him. That's a bit the idea, so he killed my champion this turn. My turn 4, which will be unfortunately the last turn, because the game is going very slow. My opponent needs time to move. That's the problem when you play MSU. It needs a lot of time. You have so many possibilities that you have to consider. It takes you very a long time to play. And yeah, that's the only game that I didn't finish. The other 2 I was easily able to finish the 6th turn. But this game we only play 4 turn, which is, it's disappointing. Don't like that much, but that's how it was. I felt my armies, I think I played fast enough, because my army is mainly blocks to move. I didn't had a ton of things to do during this game, so it didn't took too much time for me to play. I think, at least that was my feeling. So yeah, here we in combat. My mercenaries block, they move back. Cannon just pivot to shoot at him, short range 3+. I have to do more wounds with my shooting. That's not possible. This guy didn't move. This guy just reform. I use the chaff. So basically the way it's placed, if he goes here, he cannot contact the mercenaries. If he goes here, no way contact the mercenaries. He can possibly charge the flank of my bruiser next turn, but we will see. And yeah, the chaff is still here. My giant, I don't know if I pass or not, but I wanted to threaten a bit these guys, force him to chaff me again. I didn't want to go in a risky fight against the elder. So that was a bit the idea. My Kid-Eater moves around, the Yetis move towards the right of the board. Yeah, the idea is to target them, but they escape already, I felt, at this point. In the magic phase, I try to break the spirit on, I think, against the ancestor, but I fail. Then I got 3 dice Rod of Battle on my bruiser. He let that off, and he dispelled the +1 strength. With shooting, finally my mercenaries turned on, and they do 5 wounds to the elder, which was really nice, and my cannon finished the last wound. So at least that was some positive performance from my mercenaries. So great, yeah, this guy didn't hit at all. Would have been nice to just finish last wound with the crossbows, but I didn't. So the cannon had to do it. But then I have one monster left, less to care about. This guy has only one wound left, meaning his combat threat is getting, not that much a big threat for me. And close combat. So what happens is he goes first, use the breast weapon, so loses a wound. Did to me like I was still steadfast, so 7 wounds, maybe 7 wounds, I guess. Then I go back. I have 7 guys left, which is 21. Hitting on 3+, I made some completely average, something like 15, 14. And then yeah, I had only I did like 8 wounds, 7 or 8 wounds. He saved on the 6+, and I only needed 5, so I kill him. I reform. He passed the panic check here, no problem for him. But yeah, I killed the Ancestor with the Bruiser, which was nice, and somehow expected. It's definitely it's totally on average. So I just reform. He tried to charge me on a 9 Swift Stride or 8 Swift Stride, but failed that charge. Kept them in the front of me as chaff. Move forward to target cannon. These guys again chaff me. Yeah, I knew that I'm chaff forever. Hit this guy, the rest just move around, but yeah, this is last turn. And Magic Face, I will Binding Scroll, Grave Call, Mark Form Doom, fail against my Frost Mammoth, and then 2d6 strength 6 against the Frost Mammoth again, I guess, fail again. So yeah, nothing, we ended up like that. So I kill Ancestor, almost all of the Elder, and it took only half of my Frost Mammoth. What maybe some hypothesis of what would have happened in the next few turns. So this turn, I think most likely I would have take the chaff, use the dog, put in front of those two to chaff both, which was easy to do. No overrun because it's a flank, so easy to do. Here I have some decision to make. I think it was a 10 or 11 Swift Stride to get to the flag, and here's something like a 10, and I can force a panic check, but he can reroll. So I think my best option would have been to move again and be just 1 inch behind him in case if he failed the march check, he cannot chaff me, and I can get a 6 turn charge and maybe break the steadfast and stuff. Maybe, just maybe. Considering the fact that he has no chaff anymore, if I kill those two, then he kills my chaff, then it's my turn again, and on my turn 6 I should be able to be in a position to basically to charge again. And then if I get the charge off against what's left here, I can take some challenge against the Lord, so block him with my Shamanist Mage, for example, and then maybe have some combination of bruises plus something against them. So I fancy my chances to be quite fine over here. And then I think here on the left, I don't think it's very realistic to say that I would have taken the flags here or something else. I think I would have continued a bit the dance and threaten him. Maybe try to finish the last wound with the Yetis, but yeah, I'm not sure it's worth it. It's 4+, 5+ with 6 attack. Not sure to kill him at all, and then he can kill me. So I think overall, I would have had some good chance because of the chaff war. The fact that I can kill the chaff him, then he has no chaff anymore. I think that's quite positive for me. And then what can he do? Basically on his turn, if he takes a chaff, he's in danger. So I think he has to somehow maybe turn around, go away with stuff, and use him as a way to protect himself somehow. But I think it would be too risky for him to take the chaff and then face what's left of my army, which is quite a lot at the moment. So yeah, that would have been hit. I would have had 2 other short range shots at his 4+ general. Yeah, I think it was general. 4+ ward save. So also quite interesting. So I had some chances to do slightly more, but yeah, unfortunately that's the game. And for him, the potential upwards is not huge because it depends a lot of my decision. But if I don't give him anything here on the left, he has no way to take really points, I guess. And here to the right, I think, yeah, it's more in my favor. I don't see... Yeah, obviously the magic can do a lot. If the mage turn on, he can possibly kill the cannon, kill these, force some panic check. Yeah, obviously it's more that, but it's less likely that he's able to achieve a lot with what's left on the right part of the board. I have a feeling like I broke the rush. Basically, I took off 2 monsters, and then what's left, it's not enough to beat my blocks that are almost still... Yeah, they're fighting off. I still have 7 bruises, all my mercenaries, so that might be too much for him, I guess. So that's it for this game, 13-7. Post-game analysis, I was happy to be able to start the game, to be honest. I think it's a difference, because if he can start, he can be in the starting line and try to push me harder. Slowing down the push was important to make sure that he would come at me in waves, like first the Ancestor, then maybe an Elder, then something else, but not everything together everywhere. It's also easier for me to buff combat with my buffs. So on the macro level, pretty happy about the game plan overall and deployment. On the micro level, yeah, failing to get rid of the Chaff Turn 2, and generally speaking, failing to get more range damage output early on with mercenaries put me slightly under pressure, because things survive, then they're able to continue the push. So that's a little bit the problem in this type of matchup. You're relying quite a lot on your range damage output. Yetis were very annoying for him. I occupied Giant and Chimera and was a threat for the Horsemen, so I was quite happy about the Yetis. They didn't do much, but at the same time, for him it's like 500 points that didn't do anything all game long, and for me it's only 200, so I was quite happy to divert him a little bit. And also occupy his mind to make sure, okay, he cannot come here and so on. Yeah, allowing my Giant to find a sweet spot turn 2, I think that was it doesn't look like, but it's a huge mistake. It's an important mistake, at least by my opponent, because I was, like I said, from turn 2 on, I was able to force march check on the whole army, and that was very annoying for him. And he failed a couple of those because of no reroll. So I think that was huge from him to allow me to go out of line of sight. Bruiser delivered. Against the Ancestor, my plan worked, so put them, took out the general, challenge first turn, buff, and then combat. So yeah, I was quite happy about how it went. I could have pre-buffed before he charged me to maybe not challenge and get a couple of wounds more, and maybe some better chance of killing him in 2 turns, and not, because if he sticks with like 1 wound and then charge me in the flank with the Chaos Lord, it can be a little bit annoying, and I could possibly have broke. So I think to be even more safe, I should have maybe put a couple of buffs on the bruisers to make sure. But if I remember correctly, I was also focused putting some wounds with Swarm of Insect against the Elder, trying to cast Totemic Summon. There was plenty of stuff going on, so it was hard to take the right priorities in Magic. Regarding the list, yeah, Giant Yetis, I think that's a perfect example what they bring to the list. They are very effective at slowing down the opponent, diverting the attention, so I was really happy about that. And yeah, Rod of Battle, again, it's very important because it's one of the very few CC buffs at my disposal. I only have that and +1 strength. The rest are debuff. So yeah, +1 toughness is also a buff, but I don't have a lot of buffs, so I think Rod of Battle is really, really key. And other point, yeah, from my opponent perspective, I think with his magic, I don't really get why he target the Frost Mammoth. Yeah, sure, if he charge my mercenaries with Feldrak Elder, he will strike after me with the Frost. Slightly annoying, but at the same time, if you go against so many poison attack, what can go well? I mean, sure, he will do 6 attack before me. Okay, we'll do like 4 wounds, maybe 5. And then I still go back with too many attacks with poison against him, plus a stand and shoot. So I think overall, I don't fancy that much the chances of his big monsters against my mercenaries. meaning I think he should have tried to target the cannon as soon as possible from the turn maybe 3, maybe already 2, I'm not sure, but at least from turn 3 on, and try to take the cannon out, because it can do a lot, and it did a couple of important wounds against the monsters. So that was it, short battle. Thanks a lot for watching, and talk to you soon for the third battle, which will be for me a game to try to be on the podium of this tournament, so let's see what happens. Bye bye.